Good morning, everyone, from Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana. We're excited to have our new friends from the Edgewood in Helena, Montana. I'm going to give a shout out to Julia. I hope you're with us, Julia. Let everybody know that I am watching the chat, and if you have any questions as we go on here, I'd be happy to answer them. So please stay with me, and here we are right now looking north on the Bitterroot River. Good morning, everyone, from Dunrovin Ranch in Lolo, Montana. We're excited to have our new friends from the Edgewood in Helena, Montana. I'm going to give a shout out to Julia. I hope you're with us, Julia. Let everybody know that I am watching the chat. I think I had a problem on my end here.
Yeah, Suzanne, I think you've got a video playing in the background.
I do. And I've corrected myself, I hope, and I think we're ready to roll now. You know, the technical wonders, sometimes I trip over myself with all of this. At any rate, we are looking north towards Missoula on the Bitterroot River. The Bitterroot River flows on the east edge of our ranch, and you can see the mountains behind, which is where Missoula is. And I want to show you one of my favorite places on the river because it is where we often see a great blue heron fishing. I don't see it there right now. I see a bunch of geese there right now, but very commonly I find the great blue heron right here fishing in this little place. And in fact, where the geese are right now is a tremendously good fishing hole, both for people and for the great blue heron. I have caught the great blue heron on camera a number of times, pulling out some really big fish. And yeah, it's fun to watch them when they get a big fish because they have to put it in exactly the right position in order to swallow it. And they swallow it whole. It goes down that long neck of theirs, and you wonder about how they can do all of that. But I check this place every morning, and I check it every evening because very commonly that's exactly where the great blue heron is. You're looking at some Canada geese right now, intermixed with some mallard ducks. And you can see the geese are up on the shore as well as down in the water. Behind them there is a pasture where one of our neighbor ranchers has cattle and has horses. And the other night when I was watching over here, I noticed all the cattle and the horses and a herd of deer also running very fast. And I'm thinking that there was probably a pack of coyotes over there harassing them. They were all very agitated and running back and forth. We often hear the coyotes at night on the Bitterroot River. It punctuates the evenings. So let me back up here now. So this is about, I would say, a quarter mile down from our property. We're beginning to see our property here now on the left. And this is a really wonderful beach right here. And again, we see some ducks or geese. Let's check and see what we've got right here swimming in front of that beach. Here we got some mallard ducks, and you can see they're feeding with their diving down, not diving, but ducking down. I guess that's why they're called a duck, eh? Anyway, this beach is a very visited beach by people, those of us at Dunrovin, and by animals. And we see animals both day and night from this beach. And in fact, last night, I had to get up in the middle of the night and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I came into my office and started checking around. And I saw a raccoon feeding in the river and right below the camera. James, could you put that video up so people could see what I saw last night? And I wanted to explain.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll go ahead and roll that video now.
Okay. You can see the raccoon scratching with its forepaws. Raccoons have very dexterous forepaws. In fact, people call them hands because they use them to scratch their food. And in this particular little video, you'll be able to see the raccoon doing that. You can actually see into the water. That's because we have an infrared night light that allows us to see the animals and to see what's going on in the water. But I thought this was a cute little video of Mr. Raccoon down there searching for food in the water in the middle of the night. This is a pretty common occurrence. We see the raccoons there very commonly at night and oftentimes during the day as well. I'll just wait until.
That's a great video. Yeah, it's crystal clear image too. I mean, you could see some of the individual hairs on the raccoon, and that looked really neat.
Well, thank you, James, for showing that. I'm going to move the river camera now to the other side, and I'm going to take you up into the Sapphire Mountains. The Sapphire Mountains are home to a wild herd of horses. They're called the ghost herd. And that people in Missoula don't even know that we have a ghost herd of horses. They're kind of an unknown group, and they're not managed by any government agency. They just happen to be there. So when I first moved to Dunrovin, I got really interested in this herd, and I collaborated with a ranching group south of here to figure out where those horses came from and how long they had been in the area. And we were able to trace them back to the mid-1800s. They were horses that had escaped from the local Salish Kootenai tribes and from pioneers in the Bitterroot Valley. We're not seeing any right today, but commonly we do, particularly in the winter. They come to this west-facing slope that you're looking at right now to forage, and it can be really fun to watch them dig in the deep snow. They're a hardy group of horses for sure. We also see elk over there, and I've ridden over there a number of times and ridden right up to the horses and to the elk. And one time even I was followed back from the top of the mountain down to the bottom of the mountain by a cougar. Several years ago, we had a fire over there, and we watched it all night with others as it swept across that mountain. It made me very nervous, of course, because I was afraid it was going to come towards us. And when I went down to the river from my house to check out what was going on the last time, when the river, it was clear that it was not going to cross the river, and I felt safer, I was followed up the hill by a cougar who had swum across the river over to our property to see what he could see. I'm going to go down now to what I would call my favorite spot on the river. And there's a number of reasons that this is my favorite spot. You see that big beach there. Well, that commonly attracts a wildlife. We see deer there very often. We've had eagles land there. We've had the great big heron there. We've even seen an eagle and an osprey fight there. We've had a raccoon there just the other day, and he scared the geese off there. But this just happens to be one of my favorite places. And I was going to ask James if you wouldn't mind playing a little video, James. I put together some photos of my favorite place from across the seasons. Would you play that now, James?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and start that right now.
Okay, well, I'm starting with a slide that was taken last night under the moon. I mean, it's a really pretty place. Even at nighttime, you can see the moon shining off the water. And then there's a slide here that shows the river just yesterday morning. Yesterday morning, we woke to snow, and then you see some deer there in the wintertime. And last winter, the whole river froze over. You can see the steam rising from the open area, but it's a sheet of glass. Here's a springtime photo when it's flooded. And here's a summer photo of fishermen out on that beach. And then there's a photo of some of our horseback riders coming across the river over there. And then some beautiful fall colors. And we have some more fall colors a little later on in the fall. And I think we're going to end up with a sunset. We have lovely sunsets. that go down right there. And I
Now,
hope,
those are some stunning photos. I mean, this camera just captures light coming in from even sunrises or moonrises and sunsets. I mean, it's just a beautiful area to be watching.
yeah, I love that place. And I think you're going to take me to the bench camera, are you not now, James?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, we're coming up on the bench right now, and you'll be able to see our bird feeder assembly here. We've got well, now we have 5 different bird feeders plus a bird bath.
Yes, we do. And we put this up last year. We actually experimented in the winter of 2018 and 2019 with a temporary mechanism for attracting the birds. And the reason we call this the bench, I'll move the camera so you can see it a little better, is this is where there's a flat spot on our property that is right above the forest that is part of what's called the riparian area that's along the river. And you can see this pretty clearly here. It's a flat area that breaks over down into the riparian area. And this creates what's called an edge. And animals love edges because they can use the forest for cover, but they can sneak out onto the fields for food. And that's exactly what happens here is the birds come, and the birds, of course, are kind of messy. So the birds create a lot of seeds on the bottom in amongst all of these uh, sticks that we've put there. And usually about this time of day, we have a whole flock of turkeys. I don't know where they are this morning. They're late. Here we just had a magpie come. And often we have just hundreds of birds at these bird feeders. They kind of come and go in waves. And you can see that we have put what we call baffles on the stands of the bird feeder. I'm showing you one up close here right now. And that's to keep the ground squirrels off of the bird feeders. Well, if we don't use those rascally little ground squirrels know exactly how to get up there. Those are the fox squirrels and the red squirrels. And we didn't want them. But unfortunately, those have also deterred the famous flying squirrels. And in fact, we didn't know that we had flying squirrels until we put this up last year. And we had a flying squirrel that came regularly every night. They're nocturnal. So just yesterday, or the day before, I guess, James put up this little platform that you see here now. And we've put a block of suet in that platform in the hopes of attracting Mr. or Mrs. Flying Squirrel back. We miss it. And so we're hopeful that providing it with a landing spot that they can get to, but that the other squirrels cannot get to, that it will come back and give us some fun at night. Now, just like the river camera, we have infrared lights here. So at nighttime, there's often a big group of raccoons that come. There's a fox that follows. He's kind of a regular visitor. We've seen him in the daytime as well. And we have all kinds of turkeys and deer that gather to pick up the seeds that the birds scatter on the floor. And I'm going to show you the mechanism that we use here, which is right behind our bird bath. That we had a guy make this, and James has been improving on it, but it's a system, a pulley system, a crank system that we use to bring the bird feeders up and down. Those bird feeders are kind of heavy. And I bet they weigh something around 20 pounds, don't you, James? Those heavy ones there?
Yeah. The heaviest one's probably 20 or 25 pounds. The one there on the right-hand side, and then so I think all total we probably have about 50 pounds of bird feeders up there, maybe.
Yeah, and they have to be high enough so that the bears can't reach them. We've had bears on Dunrovin. I don't think we've ever seen one on camera, but we have had them here. And so we have these bird feeders both winter and summer. And different group of birds comes in the summer. The resident birds are here now all winter, but the ones that migrate through come through during the summer. And we want to attract them as well. And I'm going to show you this little tree that we planted, and I wanted to tell you about this little tree. This is a tree that the members of our community sent me the money to buy this tree in memory of a horse that everybody knew and loved. In fact, she was the first horse of Dunrovin, and she lived a long, long life. She was a wonderful horse. Her name was Annie, so everybody calls this Annie's tree. And you'll see some little birds sitting on the wire around Annie's tree. We put wire around it because the deer were chomping on the bottom parts of it. And once it gets big, we won't have to protect it. But at this stage, we do. But these little birds, and these are mostly sparrows that you see there right now, will go in and out of that tree to get away from the hawks. We've had a hawk that has set up shop here to try to get these little birds, and he'll fly, he or she will fly down to the ground, and at times you can see the hawk doing a ring around the rosy around the tree, trying to see if he can find a bird that has not been leery enough to stay put while he is about. And that's kind of a fun thing to watch too. The hawks, when you put up bird feeders, the little birds come for the seeds, and then the big birds find out about it and they come for the little birds. So when everything goes really quiet at the bench bird feeder, you can be assured that there is a hawk about. And you can see we have some birds coming back right now. I think we have what might be a flicker on the platform meant for the flying squirrel, and I didn't get the camera over there in time. Let me see what we've got over here on this bird feeder. It's attracting some birds right now. So let's see if we can get in there. Well, these birds are, by the time you get them in focus, they flit off. At any rate, this has been a very active place for wildlife and for birds. And you can see that this is just overlooking the river. You can see the river behind you there and the mountains, and just down that path there along the fence line is where the river camera is. And at this point, James, I think we should probably go ahead and switch to the nest camera. This is where life started here at Dunrovin with respect to the web cameras. This started with the osprey's nest. And here you can see that there are a couple of structures that we've put on top of this nest. Let me first go down and show you how big this nest is. It is enormous. And this has been built by the ospreys over a number of years. It's just huge. This was originally on a pole that is right next to it. In fact, I'm going to take it over to show you. It was on this pole right here, and it's on top of this pole, and the power company came and cut it off of that pole, brought their big boy toys over to Dunrovin and moved the nest onto a different pole that they put onto our property. And the pole itself is about 50 feet high. And when they did that, they suggested that the nest weighed in excess of 300 pounds, somewhere between 300 and 400 pounds. And here you can see we have a magpie who's come by and flitted down onto the nest. And commonly we have sparrows that get right into and nest within the nest. So during the summertime, when the osprey are here, you will find the little birds in what we call the catacombs, in amongst all these sticks. In fact, you can see some of the nest holes right now. They don't use it as much as they do in the summertime, but you can see that they build their little nests right in the catacombs of the osprey's nest. And that's a very, what we call symbiotic relationship. The birds get protection from the osprey, because just as I was telling you a moment ago, the hawks love to find little birds. Well, The ospreys are big birds of prey, and they keep the hawks away from the nest. So the little birds that nest underneath the osprey nest are protected by the osprey. And in fact, in the summertime, you can see when the osprey first arrive, they will be taking hay out of my field, by the way, and I never charge them, although I ought to at some point. Um, they will steal the hay that the ospreys bring and bring it down and put it into their own nest. And here you can see the sun shining on the nest. And when I move the camera, sometimes the light refracts into some interesting colors. These magpies are very pretty, and they're very ubiquitous, very common here. I'm going to see if I can get up on one closely so you can see his beautiful blue feathers. They're hard to get because they move so quickly, but I think you got a glimpse of him there. Okay, James, since we're talking about the osprey's nest, maybe we should show a little osprey clip. This is exactly where everything got started. These bird feeders, by the way, have a very elaborate pulley system to be able to pull them all the way up to the nest during the wintertime. The bird feeders are there only during the winter. That whole apparatus, the one that the birds are on right now, will be taken down in the spring in anticipation of the ospreys. The other apparatus to the right is a perch that the ospreys commonly use during the summertime. In fact, we added that just a few years ago, and it's been great at keeping the osprey within camera view, particularly as the chicks start to grow up. The adults will sit on that perch just to get away from the chicks a little bit, still guard the nest and be close by, but it's a great place to watch the osprey. But let's watch the osprey for just a moment, James. We can see a little clip of our favorite osprey. We call her Harriet, feeding her chicks from last year, which we called Hip, Hip, and Hooray. These were 3 osprey chicks that we had last summer, and they all fledged, they all took off, they were all extremely healthy. Harriet and her partner Hal just did an outstanding job last year of feeding their family. And I think one of our members kept track of the number of fish that were brought to the nest, and I think it was just under 700 fish. These osprey are just incredible fishermen, and they just have to bring a huge number of fish because those little chicks just grow so fast you can practically see them growing before your eyes.
It's remarkable, Suzanne. I'm going to actually play this clip again here. It's amazing how close we can get with the camera. I mean, the camera is located just about, maybe 4 or 5 feet off the nest, and you can see every little detail here. In fact, I was really surprised when I first started getting involved here, how you mentioned how you could tell that we were looking at the exact same osprey from last year by zooming in on the flecks that are located in the osprey's eye. And that's how close we can get of a view into these amazing birds.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, you can see those flecks in Harriet's eye as she passes by and feeds those chicks. She's got a lot of flecks in her eye, and that's how I know that it's the same Harriet every year. And she's been with us the whole time. I can't imagine how I'm going to feel when she doesn't come back. I mean, I love that bird. I think we all do who know her. So, yeah, what a wonderful thing. I assume we're back on the ranch camera now, James. Are we there?
That's right. Yeah, we've just switched over to the ranch camera, and here you're looking at a view of our barnyard and corral area and paddocks for our equines.
Yeah, and I'm going to zoom in here for a moment and focus on one of our favorite characters that you will be seeing a lot of. And this is Miss Gertie. She is one of our donkey divas. We have these 2 sister donkeys that are quite the characters. This is the older one, and I name her Miss Gertie after my grandmother, who was Gertrude Goodman. And she would be happy that I named a donkey after her. And she reminds me of my grandmother because this is kind of the bossy older sister, just like my grandma was for her younger sister, who was named Maud. And so somewhere around here in this barnyard, we would have Maud as well. I don't know where she is. I thought I saw her a moment ago around the tack area. Let me see. Let me check around here and see if I can find Maud. And she's being elusive right now. I can see that I'm going to have to search her out. Where are you, Maud? Okay, well, here coming near Miss Gertie now is one of our captains. And we call this Captain Lewis and Captain Clark. They are look-alike ponies, but believe it or not, they're not related, even though they look very much like each other. This one is Lewis, and you can tell it's Lewis because he has a white on his face that covers his eye. The other one is Clark, and he's over here eating in his stall. Okay, let me see if I can find Clark here and get him in view. This is the other half of the team. We have this wonderful little cart that we bought when we bought the ponies. It was made by the Amish. It's really pretty. And so we asked people to help us name the ponies, and we came up with Captain Lewis and Captain Clark because during the Lewis and Clark expedition, they were co-captains, just like these guys are co-captains of our little cart. Okay, I'm going to go out and check out these two horses. We have two horses that are here in this particular part of our ranch right now. And the reason we're keeping these two horses kind of separate is they need a little extra TLC. In a moment, I'll swing the camera over and show you where our whole herd of horses is. But these are two horses that need a little extra TLC. And this one I'm showing you right now is the horse that I ride. His name is Chinook. And you will see here that he is wearing a very special eye mask. And the reason for this eye mask is he is blind in one eye. He has what's called moon blindness, which can be exacerbated by exposure to the sun. So he wears those sunglasses, and they're a little bit difficult to see right now because of the way the light is, year round. He wears them all the time, day and night. He's perfectly able to manage things. I still ride him. He does just fine, but he's blind in one eye. And the horse that is with him is named Jasper, and this is a horse we bought last year. And Jasper just needs a little extra food this winter. He was a little underweight, so we wanted to keep him by to keep company to Chinook and also to give a little extra TLC. So here I'm going to now swing the camera over to our winter field, which is across the way. And what do I mean by across the way? Well, it's next to our neighbors, and we had to get across the neighbor's property to find our horses in this big 20-acre field. And this is where the cameras, the stretch of the cameras is quite a ways. So here are some of them, and I'll see if I can't pick some out as individuals. But these are great to watch during the feeding time. Our feeding time is about 4:30 in the evening. A couple guys go over there in a truck and they feed this herd of horses, and it can be pretty wild because all these horses love getting their food. In this blonde horse that you're seeing here, she is was born here at Dunrovin, and her mother was Annie, the horse that has the tree named after her at the bench. So we have a long history with many of these horses. Lady Lanz is also one of the horses that I ride. She was named after my father. My father's middle name was Lonzo, and this horse was born on my father's birthday the year after my father died. So she connects me directly to my father. I very much love this horse. Now I'm going to swing over to what we call the activity lawn. and you're going to see something a little bit crazy here. And this is what we've been trying to create all winter long, is an ice sculpture. And this is something that I brought with me from Alaska. I used to live in Alaska, and Alaskans know how to do winter right. So before I ask James to go out there and show us how he did this, I first want to give a shout out to some of our Edgewood residents. I want to give a wave to Candy and Bill and Kay and Sue and Jeanette and Brian and another Jeanette. We have a Judy and a Canto and a John and a Dee and a Clarence and a Betty, a Cindy, a Celia, a Bev, a Gretchen, a Mary, a Peggy, a Bernice, a Jim, and a Steve. And I'm just so happy to have you all with us. We will enjoy working with you throughout the winter and into the summer. Our ospreys will be coming back at the end of March, and we're really delighted to have you as part of our community. Thank you for coming by, and we hope that you will be with us throughout the year. Okay, this is our ice sculpture, and I'm going to ask you again, James, to run a little movie here, a little clip of our ice sculpture at night. This, we've lit it up, and this is all James's work, by the way. I'm the one who has these crazy ideas, and poor James comes into my office, rolls his eyes, and gets to work. Okay, so this is really a fun little thing that we've done, but let's show them what it looks like at night, James.
Yeah, so what you're seeing right now is we've got the Christmas tree lights in the background. There's 5 different poles where we've strung lights. And then we have this ice sculpture in the middle with LED lights underneath the ice, just glowing and changing colors. So it looks really neat at night. In fact, you can see it as you drive into the area where the ranch is. You can see it almost a mile away or better, glowing along in the dark. So it's a really neat sculpture, and we've had some warmer weather lately, so we've actually had to remake the ice sculpture a couple different times already. So it's really been fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you to go on out there, James, and wave to people and kind of explain how we did this. And again, this was my crazy idea that I brought from Alaska. You know, when you they've lost some sound at Edgewood. I wonder if there's a problem there, James, that you can help them with before you go out there. Is there something we can do to get them back on?
Well, it looks like we're so far we're broadcasting sound out. We may have let's see, I'll close something down here, just see if we had something that had our computer bandwidth choked up. They may have lost a little bit here and there with some of the bandwidth, but I think we should be broadcasting okay at the moment.
They just closed out and reopened. They said they're back. Well, hello and welcome back. Okay, James, why don't you go on out there and give us a wave? I hope you've got Boona with you. Everybody loves Boona.
Yeah, I think we can bring her on out here. We'll run into frame. And hi, everybody. So, yeah, here we are. We've got the water is actually on. It's I'll probably be turning it off here after the broadcast because it's starting to warm up now. And if we leave the water on while it's right around 31 or 32 degrees, it'll actually start melting the ice instead of making more ice. So, yeah, this was a interesting concoction. I've never done anything like this before. I've played with some snow sculptures, but I haven't created an ice fountain sculpture. So what we started out with here underneath, it's hard to see right now, but there are 2 metal lawn tables or picnic tables stacked up here. And then we created this chicken wire kind of mesh that comes all around the base of it. So kind of that mid-height level. There's chicken wire around here. It gives the water something to stick to and drip down, and then the ice forms around it. Now, one thing led to another. I had all this different wire and metal and all these things to tie around. And so we put all that up, and I'm pretty symmetrical in my design intents, and I found a couple tomato plants or cages and put some things together. It started looking rather humanoid. So I think we've dubbed this a few different things. It kind of looks like a wizard, or let's see, I think one of our members pointed out it's kind of like the fairy godmother. So there's a lot of different interpretations of what this might be underneath.
James, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Can you introduce Buna? Can you make a formal
introduction? Absolutely. Let's see if I can get her here from being distracted. This is our new puppy, Buna. We've had her now here at Dunrovin for about 3 months now. And her name is Bunna, named after my wife and I's favorite Scotch whiskey. But she's just a joy to have here around the ranch. She's 5 months old, and she's learning her way around and getting acquainted with all the animals. She loves the donkeys. She hasn't quite got Gertie and Maud to play with her yet, but we're working on it. And yeah, she's having fun chasing turkeys and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, she's delightful. And someday I'm going to use my cell phone video to tape what goes on in my office when she comes in here.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Yeah, Cola is he's kind of the patriarch around here, and he's the guardian of his domain. Let's put it that way.
He's very opinionated, but he's all growl and no bite. She's got him figured out. She doesn't pay him any mind. So I wanted to give another shout out to all of our new friends at Edgewood. Again, I'd like to say hello to Candy and to Bill and to Kay and to Sue and to Jeanette 1 and Jeanette 2 and Brian and Judy and Canto, John, Dee, Clarence, Betty, Cindy, Bev, Gretchen, Mary, Peggy, Bernice, Jim, Steve, and another Jim. Could you give them a wave there, James? Could you just say?
Yeah, howdy, everybody. Yeah, I hope you're having a great day in Helena like we are here. It's blue skies, and it's nice to see the sun. We've had a few days of clouds here, so it's always great to get some sunshine.
So I want to ask the chatters if there's anything else they want to send you off to explain. So just stay put for a moment, James. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat to see if anybody else wants you to do a song and dance.
Sure, absolutely. Well, I can show you a couple things real briefly while we're waiting for some comments to come in. But if you pan over towards the arch here in the corner of the activity line, you'll see the Dunrovin Ranch arch. We have a lot of weddings that can happen here and in front of this arch. And you'll notice that we have our guest of honor here up on top. This is one of our friendly penguins that we bring out during the winter time. And these guys move around the ranch from time to time. So it's kind of like a scavenger hunt on the cameras. So right now he's over here. I'll probably move him later today, and it'll be another hunt, hide and seek effort to try to find this little guy.
Hey, James, you've been dared to do a chicken dance.
Oh man, that's a special kind of something right there. I think I have to work up to these things. Oh yeah.
Well, someday I'll get on camera and I will do a chicken dance, because a chicken dance is called the cueca, is the national dance of Chile, and it's a really fun chicken dance. So someday you'll get me on camera and I even have the kind of music that it goes to. And
I think you and Paula could do it upright. She was doing some dancing for Halloween, I think, that
I'll show
barnyard dance.
Yep. Okay. Now hold me to it, you guys. I'll show you the Quakers. Well,
I'd like to go ahead and point out something else on the ranch here, and that might take you a view kind of south of the property. But we do have a weather station here next to our orchard and greenhouse area, and kind of the garden zone. But this weather station provides us local weather that you can see on the website, and it shows exactly what's happening here at the ranch, which is kind of neat because I can wake up in the morning and take a look and see what the temperatures are. We'll monitor this to gauge how our horses need to be fed, depending on how cold it is. And it's really handy to have that here, but it allows you guys online to see exactly what's happening here at the ranch, not only with the cameras, but also with our weather reporting.
Yes, it's very handy, and I really appreciate your having put that up, James. This was James' idea, and he just went ahead and did it, and it's just, we've enjoyed it a great deal. Okay, I would like to respond to some of the questions that are coming in on the chat. You can go on back to the office, James, if you wouldn't mind, because I think we're done with sending you hither, tither, and yon. And first of all, people ask if I live here, and yes, I do. I'm going to show them my house. This is my home, and you can see the corner of my house. You can see, I'm just showing that it's a log home. I'm going to show you the corner. I'm going to show you a window. I'm going to tell you about this window. You can't see it very well. It kind of sticks out a little bit, but it's a stained glass window that a friend of mine made in Alaska. And so I brought this window all the way back. It's a bay window. You can see it kind of sticking out there on the corner. I brought it from Alaska, and it has these beautiful bamboo leaves and reeds, and it just brings in this beautiful light. It's facing south, and it brings in this beautiful light to my bathroom, my second-story bathroom. So this is where I live, and James lives here too, and I'll show you where James lives. James lives in an apartment that is over here in one of these buildings, and you can't quite see, you can only see the roof of the building that James is in. It's this back roof. He's kind of tucked away. But this building that you're seeing now with the roof among the trees, that's where I am right now in my office. I am ensconced in my office right in that building. And that building also has two apartments that are part of our guest ranch where people come and stay. Let me respond to the size of the ranch and how we came, etc. So we have owned this property since 1997, and it was not a ranch at that time. There was really nothing here but what I called old growth knapweed. We created this as a ranch, and we own just under 20 acres, but we lease another 100 acres, 20 acres where our herd is now. And then we have a lease on state land of 640 acres that goes on both sides of the river. So all told, we have nearly a little over 600 acres that we use as the ranch. And our horse rides start, let me show you where our horse rides go. People who have been with us a long time will know this. Oops, I'm going past our orchard. I'll point that out too. These are, this is where our orchard is, and we have apples and apricots and cherries and pears and plums, which we just love. And you'll see these stalls. In the summertime, our horses are in these stalls, and behind the stalls, you'll see this row of vines. These are hops. This was sort of my invention, and I call it hops for horses because these vines grow up and over these poles and provide shade for the horses, and it also cleans the air. It's really a cool thing that has worked out very well. So you want to see some more of our animals. Well, let me just see if I can go back over to the main herd and see who I can find. Some of these animals don't always cooperate, and they're not about where you exactly want them. I hope that you'll stay with us, Edgewood, for this afternoon, because you will see our donkeys during some diva training. We call it diva training. And we have this wonderful man named Mackenzie who comes out here every week to train our donkeys. And he's training them to tell us what they want, to talk with us. by pushing on buttons. And I know that sounds insane. And I think it's the start of making a monster out of these donkeys, because he's been teaching them if they push one button, they get apples. If they push a different button, they get carrots rather. So these guys are thinking they're going to be telling us when to feed them and what to feed them. It's just hilarious. The whole thing is hilarious. So here is one of our horses right here. And you'll see that the camera moves a little bit, and that's because we are zoomed in over quite a distance. This horse is a horse named Flynn. He's a really lovely horse. He's got a long mane and a long tail, and he's used often in our with our school kids programs. And you can see, let me see if I can find another horse here. And it's when the timing is right and the lighting is right, sometimes we go from horse to show you each one. This horse is kind of pawing in the snow to get some of the pellets that we spread. Every night, not only do we throw hay, but we throw pellets that the horses have to go then and find. And the reason we do this is we want to have the horses as natural as possible, and this is what they would do in nature. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to sign off. I do see one more question, and it's about the golf thing that they're seeing in the lawn, and I'm going to show you this. This is a golf basket. And one of our guys who's living with us and taking care of things around here, Levi, loves to play golf. It's a combination of frisbee golf, and that's what that thing is for. His dog also sometimes gets involved, the dog Buddy. Yes, that was Monty, Celia, that I showed a moment ago. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to wave goodbye to our new friends in Edgewood. And I want to thank you for joining us. And I want to say goodbye to everyone else. And I want to thank James for helping me. This is always kind of a technical fun and games. And you did a great job, James. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll look forward to our broadcast a little bit later this afternoon. But yeah, feel free to come back anytime and watch our nature cams. We've got 4 different channels here, of course, and then we do our special broadcast here every Tuesday and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So be sure to tune in for that. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining in. And from James here in the tech booth, I'll go ahead and sign off.
Bye.